So one of the things about early Bionicles history that fascinates me is its sort of tie to Pokemon, right? Pokemon, Star Wars were some of the most major influences on Bionicle as a franchise. And I think that the franchise itself could have gone in some very different directions. But clearly when you look at, sets like the Rahi and their combination models, you could start to see little aspects of, okay, these are kind of like little evolutions. And so I wanted to lean into that a bit because I think one of the strengths of Bionicle was finding its own footing in a world of Pokemon, in a world of Star Wars. And it did a very good job, clearly, because it sold very well. Let's go ahead and lean into the Pokemon aspect, though. If you like this channel, hi, I am Skybird, and it really helps out if you'd like and subscribe videos like this. It tells YouTube we're doing fancy good things here. All right, so without further ado, this is what I bring. Now, this is only 4 evolutionary lines, if you want to call it that. I have plenty more, over 200 Rahi at this point that I have designed. Several of the Rahi, in fact, all of the Rahi in this row right here are all my own designs, with the top 3 Rahi all being alternate models, or rather, rebuilds essentially of just one of their respective Rahi. So the Kuma right here is actually built using the pieces of just one Muwaka set right next to it. The Kakimara is built using just one of the Nui Jaga sets. And of course, the Nori right here is built using just one Manus Crab. But of course, I've taken some creative liberties for the sake of this video and recolored a couple of things. I do want to note that these are all fully buildable in these colors, with the exception of the Kakimara's feet being all, orange instead of transparent orange, just because I didn't want them like glowing funny if I rendered them, but you get the point I'm getting at, right? So these are all things that you can actually go out of your way to build yourself. The file for all of these Pokemon family trees, if you will, Rahi family trees, will also be over on the Discord pretty much right now, because I've already got it ready. I just need to export it over there. And of course, that means you will be able to take these apart in studio, check out kind of how they're built, how they function. And yeah, I love them. I quite enjoy designing Rahi. It is literally my favorite thing to do when it comes to Bionicle. So what can we take away from this? Well, one of the things that I think kind of limits our creativity as designers, as mockists, is thinking that when we do something once, that we've closed off that door, that we can't revisit that idea. And that's a shame, because it would mean, if I took that to heart, that if I saw Lego build a crab, I wouldn't be able to build a crab. But I'm somebody who has built like 10 different crab Rahi. And have I ever gotten tired of it? No, absolutely not. I've had different approaches to each one of them, sometimes more classically aesthetic than others. But the point that I try to get at is sort of breaking my own rules, breaking my own boundaries, and thus getting into something I'm not usually comfortable with so I can learn from it. Because I think we are forced to learn, forced to sort of change our perspective when we go against the grain sometimes. That exposure helps get us out of the echo chamber that is our own rules. And this is just a good, philosophy for life anyway. And so when we think, oh, well, Lego's already done this, I can't do it, or I've already done this, so I can't do it again, that's just wrong. Who's to stop you, right? With that said, though, I really love making Rahi, if it wasn't obvious already, and so kind of continuing this sort of idea forward, going forward with it and leaning into it is a lot of fun. Now, here's the thing. I don't think Bionicle would have been as successful if it was a blatant copy of Pokemon. If these were treated as evolutions, as Pokemon does, if there were, the Matoran spheres were a Pokeball or something like that, and, you could capture them, because at that point, it's very clearly a Pokemon knockoff, right? Would it have been successful? I don't know, maybe. There's still a lot of fun to build, right? So I think it could draw kids in, sure, but I don't think it would ever have competed directly against Pokemon, and so it would have sort of stayed in the shadow of that theme. But Bionicle going out of its way to find its own footing in a world of Pokemon, that I can admire. And obviously it was successful, as the line went on long past the 3 years it was originally proposed for. I think honestly that Bionicle is a really incredible special point in time. I've mentioned lightning in a bottle. It really is. It's so hard to capture what the essence of Bionicle was, because in part that essence is locked to time. We can't go back. We only have the knowledge that we know now. And unfortunately, we're not in an era where Pokemon has the same dominance it once did, or that there's anything that really replaced that Pokemon mania. If you were around in the early 90s, or late 90s rather, early 2000s, it was inescapable. And we're not really in that environment again today. So Bionicle doesn't answer any of those franchises, right? And I think that's something that was so special about it. And not to say that Bionicle is a bad thing and that revisiting it is bad either, because it's absolutely not. I love doing it and I love speculating about it. It's all a joy. Anything related to Bionicle is a joy to me. But with that said, there was a little bit of magic back then, and it's not in part, well, rather, in part it is due to the design that we landed on, because Bionicle could have been very different in its early days. If you've seen some of the Bonehead of Voodoo Island concept art, you can definitely admire some directions that were taken, for sure, and you can also admire some changes that were made. That said, that's basically what I wanted to cover in this video. So again, the file for this image here will also be over on the Discord, just if you want to look at it. I'll get rid of the glow from around the creatures, so if you want to do your own thing, you can. And I'll leave the backgrounds transparent, whatever the case may be. With that said, though, also the actual studio files, if you want to see how they are built, will also be over on the Discord. Just check out the mock instructions channel towards the very top, and that is where you will find that as well. Hopefully you enjoy it. I'm going to continue hammering away at this idea, and that's pretty much it. So if you enjoyed the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. And of course, as always, you can join the conversation down in the comments below. Let me know what you think should be built next, or if you want to take that conversation further, and if you want to check out nearly 200, in fact, exactly 200 Rahi, you can also check those out over on the Discord as well. And of course, Instagram, Patreon, all in the description. Yeah, you know what to do. Take care.